Do you have something covering your camera, Lori? Oh, there we go. Oh, oh, unmute. Oh, can you unmute? Nope, still can't hear you. Can you unmute? Oh, still muted.
Yeah, that would
Oh,
help.
there we go.
So you're the host. It's telling me,
Yeah, I logged in before you did.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
then
yeah.
it
It
still
doesn't
allowed you,
matter, I don't
but
think.
it still allowed you to come in. I didn't
Oh,
have
yeah,
to let,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
You might have to allow people to screen share. That was the only thing it
oh,
said.
okay, no biggie.
Yeah.
Let's just see what I have. I'm already allowing one participant at a time. So,
Oh, you
I'm
are? Okay.
yeah, it defaulted to that. So what do you have a little piece of paper over your camera or
Yeah, yeah, I always
oh,
do
okay.
that. Yeah.
No, I got these little they're very tiny. They're little ovals that have a sliding window on them.
I've seen
Yeah.
those.
And
Yes.
they showed up and I thought these are way too small and they work fine. As a
Yeah,
matter of fact,
I
there we
take
go.
my little Post-it with my Dover Zoom
Mm-hmm.
info and I just put it up on top.
Yeah, no, because I could still there's light coming through. Like on mine, everything just blacks out. And it's
Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's a little bit of light will come through.
Mhm.
Normally I turn it on and I turn the video and the audio off immediately, but you surprised me today. You were early.
Hey Tim.
So we have four. Sarah and Amy are coming. I did not hear from Jim or Anna.
Okay,
Anna
okay.
probably will come though, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't hear back from her.
So right. And let's see, who do we have here? Okay, so just no other commissioners on yet.
Just you and Tim.
There we go.
Just us.
So Tim, refresh my memory. Is your oldest, is she married?
Yes,
And any children?
not yet.
Oh, okay. I just we're getting inundated all around us from marriages and this, that, and the other thing. It just seems to have hit critical mass.
Mm-hmm.
And when did she graduate?
Well, she
No,
graduated
high school
high school.
or
Uh,
college. We can do the math or college.
hmm, 2010?
From high school?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. So she's
32.
yeah.
She was 33 yesterday.
Uh-huh. So she's
My
3 years.
math's the same age. I'm not that quick with math. My Matthew's the same age.
So no, she's 3 years ahead of Molly. And was a couple of Molly's friends have been announcing pregnancies. So not not granddad yet. So
So for Ledgewood, Artie requested a continuance.
okie doke. Good. Well, we'll see how this goes. This could be well, I don't want to jinx anything. Uh,
Don't say it.
nothing. Oh, did Sarah just go off?
Oh, what happened? Oh, Anna's here too.
Okay.
Amy.
Oh, good. So right. Okey-doke. Well, we have enough. And so as far as this is, anyone else that you know of, Lori?
I did not hear from Jim.
Okay. Yeah, so we should probably figure out, now that we're getting to the end of the summer, unfortunately, recruitment drive for, some commissioners.
The
And I'm
town
sure,
has it
Amy,
posted.
do you ever mention that on your, walks?
Sorry, sometimes, but we were actually looking for an open space member, but I just found one. So,
Oh, oh, no, you stole one, right?
no,
The-
no, he's not, he just moved to Dover. We don't want to scare him away.
True, true. So, let him get his feet wet. So okay, I think we can, open up.
Okay, admit.
Mm-hmm.
My phone is pinging on the other side of the room. Must be
That could be
Janet
Sarah.
saying she's not in.
Oh, I thought it could be, yeah, there's Sarah, okay.
Oh,
15. Wow.
It was Sarah. She couldn't get her audio to work, but maybe she can now.
Oh, okay, because yeah, everyone's, I see a bunch of people on with no pictures and no audio. Let's choose somebody. Let's see, there is. So Rich, it's funny, Rich, I was just gonna ask you to let us see you and see if we could hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yep, you're coming through great. Okay.
All right,
So
good.
I think it's just taking a while for things to pop up here. I thought computers were supposed to get faster and faster every year. Okay, let's see. Is Sarah's video working?
Sarah is going to restart her computer.
Oh, nope, there she is. Oh, can you unmute, Sarah?
Yeah, sorry about that. That was so weird. I was like frozen.
There you go. Well, no, you look
Well,
lively now.
Okay.
Great.
Sorry about that, guys.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to the Town of Dover Conservation Commission meeting for August 14th, 2024. Lori, can you read our permission to handle Zoom meetings, please?
Sure. Following guidance issued by the governor regarding the open meeting law, the public meeting will be held remotely. Individuals wishing to participate may do so by using Zoom video conferencing technology. To join the meeting by video, you may click on the link. To join by phone only, dial the number and enter the meeting ID and the passcode, and the meeting is being recorded.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so first up for this evening's agenda is 7 Buttercup Lane. We have a deck, walkway, landscape, hardscape. Janet, why don't you bring us up to date on this?
At first glance, this seemed to be a really straightforward NOI. But in looking at the site and the proposed plan, one complicating factor is that the work is being done within the 50-foot, within the 70-foot, and the work is also in the floodplain, which does require some compensatory flood storage. So I think it's maybe best to have Rich pull up the plan and just walk us through the project, and then we can go through my questions and concerns, and then the commission and abutters may have some as well.
Okay, great. We'll have permission, Rich, to share screen.
Thanks, everyone. Rich Kirby, LEC Environmental Consultants. With me tonight is Susan Rice may or may not be on. She might be in the audience somewhere, but she's the homeowner and applicant for this notice of intent. We also have Joe Wood and Steve Daly from NEDC Design. Looks like Lucas Machado from Curb Studio is on. And as stated, it's a deck replacing a walkway, some hardscaping and landscaping, but of course, the devil's in the details. I'm going to share my screen and just sort of familiarize the commission with the site. Can you please enable screen sharing?
I thought I had. Lori, can you try it from your side? Okay.
There we go. Thank you. All right, so this is the notice of intent application cover page. This is the view of the property from Buttercup Lane. And the property is just over 2 acres in the northern portion of town. It's actually east and west of the Charles River, north of Dover Road and south of the Elm Bank Reservation. The western portion of the site contains the house. So this is sort of looking south here. And there's a attached 2-car garage with a paved driveway providing access from Buttercup Lane. We also have a couple of brick paver walkways providing access to the front entrance. And I will go down to a few other pictures and spare you the boring details of all this text. This is a view of the back of the house. I can zoom in here. This is the second brick walkway that sort of provides access to the rear, and a patio, a brick paver patio that you can see extends off of the house. That's notable because that's where our deck is being proposed, and this brick paver patio will be replaced in kind. This is a view of the rear of the house, currently under renovation from the backyard area. And I'm going to go to the plans. Here's the USGS topographic map showing a pond. FEMA floodplain map showing the Zone A-E flood zone elevation occurring at elevation 109 in NAVD 88. This is the aerial image. Again, here's Buttercup Lane. Here's the dwelling with the driveway providing access from Buttercup Lane. Backyard, there's a shed over here, and we have a ponded area. It is notable that David Burke delineated the wetland resource areas associated with the site, and LEC was hired to file the notice of intent. So David prepared the data sheets and submitted a report to the Conservation Commission relative to the delineation. I know this is shown as a potential vernal pool here. I believe David in his report indicated he did observe fish within the pond. So typically evidence of a breeding population of fish sort of counteracts the certification of a vernal pool.
You would say.
Yeah. I was trying to say certification ability, but I don't think that's a word. Here we go. So here is the proposed site plan. I'm sorry, I've neglected to introduce also Al Gala, project engineer. He should also be on tonight as well. Al prepared the plans. So this is the site plan. Again, there's Buttercup Lane over here with a access drive providing access to the 2-car garage here. There's a breezeway connecting the garage to the main house. We can see the walkways, an existing walkway here, another one in the back. And we can see the bordering vegetated wetland boundary occurring here. And of course, that has the 50, 70, and 100-foot buffer zones associated with it. One of the issues at this property is there's a significant amount of surface flooding in the spring, and there's not a lot of positive drainage away from the dwelling. And that's one of the things that we're trying to accomplish here. We are in the process of getting some additional eyes on the landscape component of the site plan. So we do expect a continuance tonight, but at least we wanted to introduce the commission to the project and get any big picture comments that we can incorporate into any plan changes in time for the September 11th public hearing, which is 2 hearings from now. The work primarily includes the construction of this deck over the existing paver patio. The paver patio that's beneath it will be replaced in kind. This deck is outside of the 50-foot no disturbance zone, but it is inside the 70-foot no structure zone, but much farther away from the existing house, which measures about 39.1 feet from the wetland boundary at its closest point. We're also proposing to replace the paver walkways here and redo the front entryway with some nice stairs. And we are also proposing some grading within the backyard. And as part of that, we're doing a few things. Number one, we have a sump pump outfall, which occurs off the north side of the house here. And right now that just kind of flows over the lawn area. The lawn isn't growing well in that area. And so what we're proposing is a little bit of a place for the water to go, a little depression, a rain garden with a level spreader overflow, and that will discharge into a crushed stone meandering channel. And the idea is to line this with some native plantings to sort of have it fit into the landscape a little bit better and not just appear as though it's a stone drainage ditch. But effectively, that's what it will do, and it'll help get the sump pump water away from the house. Similarly, we have a second rain garden proposed over here. This is going to take some of the roof runoff. Currently, there's no stormwater management at the property, but some of the roof runoff will be directed to this rain garden. We have a crushed stone overflow berm and really with a level spreader, basically trying to make it so there's no sort of point source discharge directing stormwater to the wetland. We're also doing a little bit of regrading in the backyard, just to get some positive drainage away from the house to eliminate some of the flooding issues. Some of this grading work will be within the floodplain, and specifically it's over 553 square feet, where we are filling 554 cubic feet of floodplain. But we're providing a significant amount of compensatory storage. 1,361 cubic feet of compensatory flood storage will be provided by way of the grading in the backyard over an area measuring 1,640 square feet. So we're sort of spreading out the area of compensatory flood storage compared to the area of floodplain alteration. Let's see, what else do we have? We have some a retaining wall proposed, a small 1 foot high retaining wall along the back of the house here to intercept the foundation. And we do also have some landscaping. Now, this is a landscape plan that Curb Studio put together. You can see we have a variety of native shrubs and perennial plants that'll be installed throughout the site. One of Janet's comments was the rain gardens lack diversity, so we're going to be looking at seeing how we can improve the diversity and quantity of plants proposed within the rain gardens. But you can see there's a fair amount of native planting going in throughout the site. But again, you know, we're going to be reevaluating this plan and seeing how we can improve upon it in time for the next hearing. Janet had also mentioned that waivers are technically required for the work in the 50 and 70. So we're going to be looking at the regulations there and developing a waiver request that talks about the improvement and really why we're doing it. We're doing it to try and improve the drainage on the site, have a little bit of storage compared to existing conditions for the roof runoff and the sump pump runoff. And that effort coupled with the greater than 3-to-1 or almost right around 3-to-1 ratio of compensatory flood storage to floodplain filling and the native landscaping, we hope will be enough to justify the waiver requests that we'll be preparing. So I think that covers the presentation. I don't know, Joe or Steve, do you have anything to add on that?
Actually, before you go, Rich, can you circle the area of where you're looking to create more flood storage?
Sure. So if you see the this plan, all of the existing conditions are in sort of a gray line weight. Here's the
Mhm.
existing EOP or edge of pavement associated with the driveway. I didn't forget something that I'll talk about in a moment. The proposed grades are the black line grades. So you can see here we have proposed elevation 107, 106, 105. And this is where we're sort of pulling back the slope, if you will, to provide that additional compensatory flood storage in the backyard. One of the things that I did not mention that I will now is right now, water, as you can see from these grades, 120, 119, 118, when it rains, water flows down Buttercup Lane, and there is no curb along the edge of pavement. So what ends up happening is a lot of this water gets pushed onto the client's driveway, which causes flooding issues. It causes icing up in the winter. And so they're proposing a bituminous berm along this section of Buttercup Lane. And let me scroll over here a little bit. So bituminous berm along the edge of pavement, a bituminous berm at the driveway entrance, and a crushed stone apron for a place for that water to go. And then we have sort of a grass swale where we're going to modify the grade a little bit, so that way that water can dissipate through the lawn area compared to existing conditions, instead of sheet flowing across the front yard and the driveway. That was the last component of work that we're proposing.
Mhm.
So I hope that answers that question and gives the commission a feel for what it is we're proposing. Happy to turn it back to Janet through the chair, and we can talk a little bit about her comments and see if the commission has any other comments.
I have to say, could you, you had a great aerial photo that showed the depressed area in the back.
Sure. Let me zoom in a little bit here for you. There we go. So this is the pond, lowercase
Right.
p. It measures 10,000 square feet, but
And then everything else where, as you move further down to your right, going towards Turtle Lane, that looks like it's there's a several foot drop there. Is that an area that's normally very wet, or?
we did not, we did not recon this whole area. The whole intent was to really focus on where the development is occurring. It looks like from this aerial that this whole zone, this looks like a pretty large emergent marsh,
Mhm.
scrub shrub swamp system that
Mhm.
appears to transform into a sort of a forested wetland. And if you do look
Mhm.
beyond the pond, there is woods back there. So I'm presuming that this is, all forested wetland in this
So you
zone.
don't really, that's why you don't see that area from the house. It's forested enough in between.
Well, you can see the pond from the house, but beyond
No,
the
not that, but
house,
yeah,
it's
beyond
forested.
yeah, the swamp area there.
Yeah, you're not seeing, I don't think you're gonna get a good view of this emergent marsh. Maybe in the winter during leaf off
Mhm.
conditions, you might get
Mhm.
a glimpse of it between the stems.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's
Okay. So,
yeah.
and is it fair to say the general flow coming down from the top of Buttercup Lane eventually goes into that area?
Yes, I would say yes. All of the topography slopes in a easterly direction across the
Mhm.
site. And
Okay.
there's a roughly 12-foot gradient, 12-foot gradient between Buttercup Lane and the wetland over here. So it's, it does slope down.
Okay. Great, thanks. Is there anyone else from your team that wants to bring anything to our attention? Okay, then why don't we, Janet, do you want any of this to still be on screen, or before while you're just talking, or you're all set?
I don't think it needs to be on screen. No.
Okay.
So I'm happy just to walk through my comments. The first is technically there's new work being done within the 50-foot no disturb and new structures within the 70-foot. And so we would normally require waiver requests. The point of that is to deter people from doing things in those areas if they don't have to, and also have the applicant look at alternative locations. But as you could see from the site plan, the house itself is within the 70-foot structure. The entire disturbed lawn is in the 50-foot. So there really are no alternatives for the location of the rain garden, the deck, the walkway, the other work they're proposing to do. And so the question for the commission is whether to still have them go through the exercise of requesting a waiver request, or if when you do come to vote for this, you could just find it would be a factual finding that given the existing site conditions and the structure and locations, there really are no alternatives. But I'd hate to make the applicant and their consultants go through an exercise that's just going to result in the same result that we can see now. I also will say that a lot of this work will create a net environmental impact benefit with capturing the rain gardens, capturing some of the sheet flow, improving the drainage. Those are all, I would say, beneficial impacts to the wetland resource areas. So even though they are disturbing within the 50-foot, I think it's a positive disturbance, and we don't have too many of those. So that would be a question for the commission. We could also ask the applicant just to summarize why they don't feel there are any alternatives. Anyway, so I was on the fence with regard to asking for a formal waiver request for the work in the 50 and the 70, and just wanted the commission to consider that.
And commissioners, any input?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think we normally want a trail, and you know, which I learned from Janet. So I think a narrative of saying that this, you know, is within that area, and this is why we're meaning you are requesting a waiver of this because of it being a net positive, and also you're not actually creating. It's not like you're expanding in there with a house expansion or anything of that sort.
Right.
I think that just as long as we have that, I think that would be acceptable. Commissioners, what's your feeling on that?
I agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Basically, the reasoning Janet just said is fine. It just needs to be in the
Yeah.
file.
Yeah, exactly. So,
We're happy to do that.
okay, thanks. And let's see, then you were going to go back to the drawing board and take a look at some of your plant diversity. Is that correct? And
Yeah, Janet, I didn't know if you had any. I think you had a couple of other comments as well.
I did. So my second comment had to do with compensatory storage, and I think you've addressed that. So the elevation, so the floodplain elevation does vary in town, but I've generally seen it consistently at 108, but you're saying it's 109. That's the elevation at this location.
According to the FEMA map, yes.
And I think that it's because it's farther upstream in the Charles. So
Yeah.
as the closer you get to Natick in Sherburne, the higher that goes.
Okay. Let's see, number 3 was, I would like to see a cross-section of the rain gardens if possible. Showing the contours, the elevations, and your surface and subsurface materials.
Okay.
And then my fourth comment has to do with the need for these crushed stone overflow berms for both rain gardens. Generally, your rain garden is designed to unless you actually need an overflow pipe, that they hold the capacity of the runoff that you're directing into the rain garden. I just think, you know, another thing to maintain, and something that in this area, quite honestly, could sink and not be really functional. I'm just questioning the need for the overflow berms. I'd be interested in your feedback.
Al, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I know you design these rain gardens.
Right. Good evening, commissioners. Yes, we typically install the stone berms just in case for overflow and to reduce erosion potential, basically, or gutting the earth berm. So it's there. It's a standard practice, but it doesn't have to be there. If it's well vegetated, I think the soil will hold well together. And if the planting is right, there shouldn't be any problems. We can certainly accommodate eliminating the crushed stone overflow berm.
I have a question about that because I find that as sort of a safety overflow. If you get a very heavy storm that may create some erosion, your next step is running into the stone, which won't erode as easily. And I think you look like you were setting them up to be level as sort of a sheet spreader. Is that correct?
It is correct, and it does slow the water down on the downside of the top of the overflow.
Yeah, so given that you have a 10-foot drop from the street before you get there, and we've had some increasingly intense storms, I don't see a need. And Janet, I'm not dictating. I just think I view this as a safety factor, and and I think it's not a bad idea to have. You have any thoughts on that?
No, I think there's a good rationale for it. I do question on rain garden number 2, the small one. I'm
Is that
hearing.
the one? But is that the one by the sump or the
Yes.
one down?
Yes. So in addition to the overflow berm, there's a crushed stone meandering channel.
Mhm.
That is quite a bit of disturbance. And I'm wondering if the overflow berm is effective, why the meandering channel is needed. Again, it's new disturbance. It require maintenance. And we do have a requirement that any drainage needs to be outside the 50 foot. And
So is the current sump pump, is that a point source right at the moment? Has it created its own little gully?
The sump pump basically discharges near the generator
Mhm.
on site, and it's just the water just goes wild through the property down. There's no control on where the water goes. So we're trying to kind of deposit that water in a centralized location. And then with the meandering channel, again, the idea is to slow the water down and keeping it more focused in direction instead of spreading through the whole property.
Mhm.
Right.
So I find-
Oh, sorry. I was just
No,
going
no,
to
no, go
add.
ahead, Rick.
Sorry about that. Thanks. I was just going to add that this channel, we are going to be adding some native plants to it to have it function a little bit better. And while it is, close to these wetland flags over here, the surface water within this sort of wetland area is going in this direction, sort of away from the stone channel. And, the topography really directs this sump pump water runoff in this direction through the lawn and into sort of the backyard area.
Mhm.
Part of what we're trying to do is also get some of the water away from the foundation, so we have less flooding issues in the basement and things. So, we can look at that. There's still a pretty solid distance, and it is relatively flat. You can see the 106 contour here and the 105 contour down here. So where the stone channel stops, there's quite a good distance of lawn and landscaping for that water to, you know, sort of meander and infiltrate through before it actually gets to the wetland. So maybe with some additional plantings, we can perhaps convince the commission that it might function well.
Well, I think my experience on this has been, these stone channels tend to silt in over time. And in essence, you're planning for that with the vegetation, but but the channel itself, you know, the curve of the, you know, bottom section of the channel tends to stay there. So it maintains directing the water, and then the additional vegetation tends to slow it down and absorb some of that. And yet you won't, you're not necessarily trying to keep it as a pristine stone causeway. You know, it seems.
Right.
Mhm.
I think everyone understands that this is going to sort of naturalize over time and, you know, may require some maintenance down the road. But with the sump pump water and the roof runoff, we shouldn't have a whole lot of sediment input into the channel. You know, if anything, you're probably going to have some falling leaves from the surrounding woodlands, you know, land in there, and those can decompose and fill in the voids between the stones over time. But so those are just my thoughts on it.
You know, organic matter comes out of, you know, gets created over a 10-year period there anyway. I see that's still an improvement, and you have limited places to put your water away from the wetland because everything else from there is uphill. In order to comply with our you know, desire to have outfalls be as far away from the wetland as possible, but all your locations were uphill. So I think this seems appropriate. And as you mentioned, some of the issues you've been having have been foundational, and again, this helps direct that away from that in a aesthetic, functional manner. So, Janet, anything else?
So if you can, you mentioned you plan to put plantings within the channel, so that doesn't show up on your landscape plan, so if you could add those.
Yeah, we will. And I think the plantings themselves may not be in the channel, but I think along the side of the channel perhaps is something that we can look at.
Okay, let's see, we talked about looking at it more of a diversity of native plantings within the rain garden, particularly number 2, which was just ferns. Number 6 was perhaps as you're responding to these in probably a memo, just confirming that the wetland site inspection confirmed observing predatory fish. So that was it was a mention in the wetland report, but it'd be good if you could call that out in more particular language, that it's your, even though this wasn't observed in the vernal pool season, and if you could call out what fish were observed, that would be good, just adding that detail.
Right. I'll talk with David Burke about that. I'm not sure. It's kind of hard to identify fish to the species level unless you have them in your hand. But usually fish of different sizes suggest strongly a breeding population of fish. But I'll talk with David about that a little bit more.
Okay. Let's see, and then the rest were pretty minor. If you're going to be stockpiling any materials, and also how you'll be accessing the site for construction, it would be good to add that to the site plan.
Okay.
And we'd like to see, you know, if you can stockpile the materials. I don't know if it's possible to do that on the driveway and still allow the homeowner access to the driveway, but there aren't too many locations outside the 70-foot, except for the driveway. But if you could just identify where you're going to stockpile and then access. 8 is just revising the erosion control to show the orange construction fence. Also,
Sorry, say that one more time with regard to the erosion control.
so we we generally require, in addition to the compost sock and silt fence, is orange construction fence
Ah, okay,
in front of the compost sock, just so it's absolutely clear where the limit of work is.
okay. Yeah, there are towns that require that as well. Oftentimes though, we'll put the orange construction fence behind the sock, so that way it's easy to access for maintenance and replacement. But if you require it in front, we can do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I prefer the front just because I've seen compost sock get run over when the orange fence isn't in front of it. And then also
Okay,
the compost sock on your site plan has a stake through it. And if that could not be staked because you're gonna, open up that compost sock with staking. And it is fairly level, so it's not as if it's gonna go anywhere.
all right, if we do stake it, maybe we could show a detail with 2 stakes on either side.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To hold it in place, okay.
Let's see. And then the last was just a very small amount of work is being done on Buttercup Lane to add the berm within the 100-foot. My information indicates Buttercup Lane is a private way. Is that correct?
Joe and Steve, I'm gonna have to defer to you on that, or Al.
Yes, that is a private lane.
Okay, all right, so no town approval is needed for that. Okay, and I think those were all of my comments.
Okay. Commissioners, any other comments? And are there any residents online who have comments? Okay, then we'll continue this to the second meeting from now. Is that correct?
September 11th, I think is the one we're
Okay.
gonna go for. And I wanted to ask, new information, et cetera, is due 1 week in advance of the hearing? 2
Correct.
weeks?
At 1 week.
1 week,
At the latest. Mhm.
okay.
And if you can just send the confirmatory email request to Lori for that continuance, please.
Will do.
And then, Rich, did you send certified mail? Or how did you notify abutters on this? Did we get your green card?
So I believe Lori has the certificates of mailing. Is that correct, Lori? Oh, sorry. You probably know you're muted.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
You mean you have them or you knew you were muted?
Both.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much and I appreciate the detail.
All right, fantastic. Have a
All right.
wonderful evening and enjoy the rest of your summer. We'll see you on September 11th.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Thank
good
you.
night. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Oh, okay, next up, we have a continued request for a COC for 5 Hartford Street. Janet, why don't you fill us in on that?
So this COC request is all set. We had been waiting for the deed covenant, which we received, and we had proof of recording since ownership had changed since the original NOI. Also, an infiltration trench needed to be installed as originally required in the order of conditions. So all of that work has been done. I've been out to the site. So everything is in order and I recommend approval. And with this particular order of conditions, it is quite old and there was just one permanent condition, which was that any new owner had to complete a new deed covenant.
Mm-hmm. And that has taken place or?
Yes, we've received that reported. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then I will entertain a motion to grant the COC.
Yeah, move to issue a certificate of compliance for 5 Hartford Street. Number 1440603.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
Anna? Amy?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, excellent. Let's see, moving on, 14 Hamlin's Crossing. Janet, why don't you fill us in?
So at our last meeting, the commission reviewed the revised restoration plan. There were just a couple additional tweaks that were needed. As requested by the commission, the plantings had been, the density of the plantings had been increased. And we received a revised plan dated July 24th, 2024. There are two steps needed here. The restoration was done under an enforcement order. So the first recommended vote is that the commission approve the revised restoration plan as dated July 24th, 2024. And then the second vote would be to amend the enforcement order, which outlines all the requirements of the restoration.
So is it outlining, so basically we're agreeing to the amendment proposed by the party, and then we're agreeing that that should be the enforcement order, or
So you're,
Um,
so the original enforcement order issued back in September of 2020 required a restoration plan. So
Mhm.
that's submitted, it's been
So-
reviewed. And so,
So we're accepting that?
yes, so for the record, you can accept that, but in addition, you need to amend the original enforcement order to require the, let's see, the 14 specific corrective actions and follow-up to the restoration plan.
Okay, and were those originally also outlined in the original enforcement order?
No, the original enforcement order required the development of the restoration plan.
Got it. Okay, so then we say, okay, so we're looking to accept the restoration plan as submitted, and then to have a second vote on amending the enforcement order to incorporate those
That's right.
14 items. Okay, go for it, Tim.
Okay, move to accept the original restoration plan.
Or is
Second.
Is it the original or the amended?
No, the
Okay,
original. And
Okay.
Then we do the amendment.
okay. Okay, I heard a second. All in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Amy? Sarah?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Okay,
Okay, move to accept the amendment to the restoration plan.
Second.
thank you. All in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
So I just want to clarify, I'm not sure. I think you voted to approve the revised restoration plan dated
Mhm.
July 4th. But I didn't hear a vote to amend the existing enforcement order.
Oh,
I
okay.
thought that, okay.
Move to amend the enforcement order.
Second.
Do any more exposition on that, or is that, Janet, do you need to amend the enforcement order as noted in your regulatory report, or?
Right, with the specific 14 actions required.
Okay. Mhm.
Okay, that.
Okay, do I hear a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Does that get us on track with 14 Hamlin, Janet?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have a time frame of when they're looking to complete that?
Let's see, in here is by the end of the fall growing season this year.
Okay, great. Let's see, we've had a continuance for Ledgewood. Is that correct, Lori? Okey-doke. And let's take a look here, and then continued discussion relative to 143 Dedham Street. Janet, why don't you fill us in on that?
So you recall this project is for a large equestrian facility, a barn, extensive stormwater drainage and site work. In addition, they are proposing voluntarily to address invasive species throughout the buffer zone. The closest point to the wetlands is they're at least 70 feet from the wetlands, but they did want to try to address the invasives that border the new facility. And as you know, we have a prohibition on use of herbicides unless there are no other alternatives. So they've come in for a waiver request. And I'm recommending that be approved based on the existing site conditions. I have been out there. They have 4 types of woody invasives: multiflora rose, winged euonymus, barberry, and bittersweet, that are all really healthy invasives out there. And so due to the site conditions, if they were to try to manually remove a lot of that, they would do more harm than good, in my opinion, to the buffer zone. And so they are requesting limited herbicide permission to address these. Again, all manual, but they will cut and dab approach using the herbicide glyphosate. And they do propose to do extensive monitoring and reporting to us, as was required in the order of conditions.
So how do you want to treat this administratively then? It doesn't rise to the level of an amendment. It's just a clarification of their original request, or just an acceptance.
I would call it's an approval of their waiver request to use herbicides for a voluntary invasive management plan.
That sounds great. Do you want to say that's what she said?
So
Tim?
moved.
Okay. All in favor, Tim?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so thank you, Mark, for appearing.
Thank you all. That was about the easiest one yet.
Well, it sounded like, you and Janet have been communicating.
Yes.
And so I appreciate the thoroughness there.
Yes, and
so,
then thank you, Janet, for the very thorough overview, exactly as I would have described. So, and feel free to set up a time to like to get you out to look at the site, see it now that we've cleared some, and kind of maybe walk through that that invasive plan again.
So are they starting? I saw several excavators out there today. Are they in process of starting to work on footing?
Yes. Yes. Paul has been out there as soon as we had our clearance and approval and started pretty quickly.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, great. Thank you, everyone.
Good luck with everything. Thanks.
Thank you, Janet.
Let's see. Lori, is this for you to bring us up to date in terms of Ecotech peer review estimates and so forth? Or is that Janet?
Yeah, Paul sent me an estimate for his work for 12 and 14 Miller Hill for the restoration monitoring.
And is that through the end of the year? Is that what that estimate covers?
What did he figure? Let's see. I did send it out to you all. I don't know exactly when.
I thought he wanted to make it give it a termination date of this particular chunk of his review, and then she'll come up with another estimate once they get.
Oh yes, that's right. It says proposed scope and budget is for 2024, when the majority of the restoration plan tasks will be completed, and any additional inspections beyond that will be out of scope. So he'll have to submit a new estimate if you want him to go beyond 2024.
Okay.
So.
And what was that? What was the amount?
it's a range,
Yeah.
3,014 to 3,714.
Okay, and is that something that's also submitted to the other parties, or? is
Well,
that
I
just-
wanted to do that after the commission approval.
Mhm.
Then
And
I'll send it to them.
Given the major scope of what's involved here, that seems pretty reasonable. So, commissioners have any thoughts on that? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to accept that.
Move to accept the proposal.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Right.
Sarah,
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Let's see, then we have a land management work group update.
We don't have I don't know, who could that possibly be? We don't have a ton to update on. Our next meeting is the 20th. We'll be going over more plans for, what we want to do this year, both in trails and in land management plans. We also have on our to-do list to think about what, if anything, for Dover Days. So if anyone is dying to make suggestions, our current thinking is maybe recommend some trails, maybe look at some suggested walks. We don't have any great ideas yet, but would love to take some. So we'll report back if we think of something.
So as usual, Open Space Committee will be having our little open space booth, and hopefully Greg and Rick will be helping with that
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
And so whatever materials or ideas you have for that, happy to
So
include them,
I've noticed.
unless you want to have your own booth.
It's overwhelming, but maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. I've been noticing in some of my travels, benches or seats of some form, so people have a chance to sit down if they found out that the trail was a little longer than they expected. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. The trustees have been doing that for a while. Like if you go down Rocky Narrows, there's a couple benches down there. And I know that the rail trail has benches in Medfield along the trail now too.
Okay.
And I don't know if trustees have done it as a fundraising effort, but I know that the Medfield, noticed the Medfield Rail Trail benches are like, you can
They're
buy a
plaque.
plaque, like
Uh-huh.
this is an honor, blah, blah, blah. So
Mhm.
that's an interesting thought.
Yeah,
Uh,
most of the trustees ones that I've noticed have been the Adirondack chairs. They have a volunteer who's become a super expert at churning out Adirondack chairs. So he's been the one that's putting them up on Pegan Hill or whatever. They
Oh, that's
haven't
interesting.
been
Okay. That's
they
nice.
haven't been putting plaques on them. They're usually places where you can have a view. So not
Mhm,
really
right.
Wild Woods. There's not very many places to have a nice view.
No, but
No,
like if
Well, I
you
mean,
go,
I
if you
suppose
go
over
on
the pond.
if you go on Rocky Narrows, like where we hunt and do like to the Lewis line, like along the Charles, there are benches there now.
Oh, I haven't
there
been
are-
in
yeah.
Rocky Narrows lately, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I think maybe having something in Springdale would be
Yeah, I
good.
actually-
Springdale Meadows would be good. So
Or
maybe
even-
that could be part of the suggested management plan or
Yeah,
maintenance.
is it Pagan that has the oversized Adirondack chairs?
They're
up
not
at the-
oversized, they're just normal, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But because I remember when we first walked down 46 Springdale, there was the thought of doing that on that hill in the back. And then there's the stone wall further beyond there where people can actually sit. But I was at Red Wing Bay the other day, and they around that circuit, very, very simple 2x6s or 2x8s were just sort of asymmetrically crossed. And it was I took a picture, which I don't have on the computer here, but it was so simply done and yet so functional. That it's, thinking of places that, I know that I haven't been in Wildwoods for a while, but I remember uh, given that we didn't have any signs at the time, that it took me a little longer to get through it than I expected. So having a few things like that would be nice. So that's a thought just for as we move forward
Yeah.
for this year. Let's see.
You have a question, Janet?
Janet.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes.
I wanted to add that I was just going over my notes from our last meeting. And I think the land management group reported out that rather than doing one comprehensive land management plan, that Amy came to our last meeting in July, and it was the sense of our group that Springdale should be our top priority for develop a land management plan. And I don't think the commission needs to vote, but if there can at least be a note in the minutes and consensus, because we're going to move forward with an RFP, which we'll bring to the commission. But before spending all the time to do that and to find the right contractor, I just wanted to make sure the full commission was on board with that idea.
I thought we had, I thought like you said, I thought it was pretty clear that that's where was one of the top ones to talk about. One of the questions I had on that was, at one point, the highway department was mowing the trail around the perimeter on that. And I have not looked in the last 2 years. Has there been any mowing of a trail in Springdale at all?
Well, I know that our huntsman has done it, like when I've asked for permission to do either our hunter paces or some hunts,
Mhm.
Steve has mowed it. So,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it was mowed for the hunter pace.
it was mowed for the hunter pace, and then there's been a couple times where I've quickly asked John for permission for the hunter when we've had to switch gears. And Steve has gone through with and just done the perimeter, so the field has a, but I have
So
not, I mean,
Has that averaged maybe once a month or so, or?
oh, no, I think Steve goes there maybe 3 times a year. I mean.
Yeah, that's
he's-
well, because
so-
we cut it in the spring and the fall, and then we have the three. That's what I was thinking, around 3 times. I think it's just something to keep in mind, whether or not it makes it more passable. Whenever I go by Haven and Maine, when that's been freshly mowed, which hasn't happened in a little bit, it just makes it so much easier and much more accessible. Maybe it's something to incorporate as a force as we move forward. I go by Dedham Street, keep wondering, I don't have a trailer to bring a lawnmower down there. I keep imagining, just putting in and doing a trail, although this year it was underwater for most of the spring, but just some of these accessibility, and that part of the backside of that, looking over the Charles, actually is a view for a decent bench or something. So I don't know if this will translate sort of a quasi analog way of looking at things. Let's see if this can
Oh, yeah, it's
set up it.
a little for, yeah.
Oh,
And
so
so-
that's the quasi bench.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
it is. I don't know if it's falling in and out of my filter there, but it just has that.
Yeah.
And so I'll get that out to folks, but it's really simple.
It's easy to build.
We can run it by Tim, our woodmeister, and see if he thinks it's but but yeah, I thought I was surprised at how simple it was, and so they put a number of them around there. Okay, let's see. Honeywell estimates, Lori, you'd sent that out. Did people have a chance to open that? It was the estimates for the mowing for the upcoming year.
That seems very reasonable to me.
Yeah, I thought so as well. So it was somewhere on, was it 1,300 for Haven and Maine and,
I think the total was like 2,800 or 20 some,
for all of it.
yeah, for all of it.
Okay, so, and Lori, is that something that, you want us to vote on, or how do you want to have that handled?
Yeah, you could take a vote on that and just say you want me to contact him to do the annual maintenance for the. four
Is that
properties.
is that just for the fall cuttings?
That includes, he wanted to start with weed whacking at one of the fields. The one, I think the one he calls Candace's field, I think he was gonna start there. So it's, I had.
It's for now, between now and the end of the year, or now in October, or?
It's after August 15th when he would do the whole fields. Let me just see, he specifies it in his invoices, so, the field at 87 Haven, brush hog, weed whack. He has picked trash too, he says. Chainsaw, so that one was for, the 87 Haven Street field. Then Valley Farm Main Street, brush hog from the guardrail along Main Street into the field, cut the brush, weeds, invasives, weed whacking, edges of Main Street, under the guardrail, cut and removed down tree limbs. Then he has Dedham Street, brush hog the fields, remove rocks, weed whack along the guardrail and the stone wall. And then he has 46 Springdale, brush hog, flail mow fields around pond, and weed whack along the line of trees and the stone wall, etc. And I always email Elizabeth before he goes there. And you know, ask her permission if he can access through the driveway, and just, you know, she always says yes, but I like to email her. And
so when he says flail mow, is he actually able to hay 46 Springdale? Is that,
you know, I don't know if he can still use that hay.
We have nothing that's usable hay at this point.
Well, I thought that 87 Haven Street sometimes.
Yeah, I think he does hay 87.
Yeah, depending the time of year that
but
he
I don't think the quality of the hay at Springdale is very good.
So the well, that could
I
explain
mean, he
the
will use any hay he can get his hands on. I mean, he's got steers, so.
if he, it was just, I think for 87, it helps moderate the price, it looks like. But
right, he doesn't charge us, if he can take the bales and use them, then he doesn't charge us for mowing.
Right. And sometimes he's less. He ended up last year in 2023, he was 1,000 less on Dedham Street because he didn't have to do as much. And these are the same prices he's been giving us. This is like the third year or more.
And Dedham is pretty dense. Dedham is pretty dense this year. It's
A lot of
it might not be cheaper than this year, but.
So can you just recount those prices?
Valley Farm is 1,200, 87 Haven is 605, 46 Springdale is 2,500, Dedham Street he has 3,000, but last year he only charged 2,000 because it didn't cost as much, I guess. I don't know what he eliminated, but
I think that
also he removes the hay from 46 Springdale. He bales it and takes the bales away.
Okay, so why don't we have entertain a motion to
Janet had her hand up.
Go ahead, Janet.
I just think it would be helpful, since we're trying to be a little more deliberate with our land management, that if he could send us a site map in terms of where he's doing the work. Specifically on Springdale, so I didn't get a copy. Lori, if you could send me a copy of that, that would be helpful.
So for 46 Springdale, there's a map that was done years ago that John actually did a line where the perimeter mowing should be, and he uses that map if he does the perimeter, and no one from DPW or Honeywell did the perimeter this year. I don't know. Sounds like Sarah took care.
Right.
But it just, no
Well,
one
but
did that in the spring, and
I think that's a reasonable, and it's a matter of us coming up with the proper map, but one of the things on 46 is that you have the as you go in along the where the stream is, before the stream disappears, you can't get over behind what are the I forget the name of the condos by the
Meadows.
market. Yeah, the
Over
meadows.
Meadows.
Yeah, so there's an area of land that's easy to miss there because it sort of goes around in a U-turn there. Do we know if that gets mowed?
Yeah, he's been mowing that.
Oh, okay,
He
so
goes over where it's dry. And
Mhm. Right, you go further up and then you can
I'm pretty
cross.
sure
Yeah.
I remember it that was mowed.
I
thought
haven't
that-
heard from anybody that lives down there that saying it hasn't been done, and in the past I have heard from them. But he doesn't have, he gives us very simple documents,
you
Janet.
do
I'll
not
send
ask
you
him
whatever
to
I
do-
have, but
Yeah.
he doesn't generally do, like plans for it or anything. He does a
He-
simple
He
invoice.
uses
Yes.
Yeah.
regular old fashioned handwritten.
He
Yeah,
does.
generic, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
tell you what, why
Uh-huh.
don't we do it this way? Why don't this year, why don't we let him do what he normally does and then we go out and inspect it? And if we need to change it, then we will go ahead and print things out, or even regardless of whether we need to change it, we will print, grab something off of Mass Mapper or whatnot, and then just overlay that so that we have that for next year.
Yeah, I mean, if you want him to do something different, you could give him a plan with
Yep.
what you want him to do, but don't ask him to tell you
Mm.
on a plan what he's gonna do. If you want to go out there and walk it with him and talk about what you're gonna do,
that's more
Mhm.
how he does it. Yeah, but
Yeah,
he'll also
he's an
say,
Iowa farmer.
yeah, he'll also suggest things.
It's not
to me
very high tech.
sometimes. He'll
What's
say,
that, Laura?
well, he might call in the middle of it and say, I noticed that this looks really bad, or this needs to be done. And then other times, oh, that didn't need to be done, so I took money off the bill. That's just how he does,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, so I think we haven't had complaints, but I think we should pay a little bit more attention just so that we don't have any encroachment on things. And when's he looking to do this after next
He
week
wanted
or
to get
actually now?
started with the weed whacking pretty soon.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then, he'll schedule things. He'll talk to me before he schedules them, and
Okay, Janet, you still
especially
have
for
your hand?
46.
You still have your hand up?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say perhaps this is something the land management work group could follow up on.
Well, if you want to take all the file with all the bills and do that through the land management, I'll give him Anna's contact and
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. And then that gives you a chance to do a walk around and see what his expectations are and whether or not it should be expanded or not.
now, do you need that done before he starts this year, or can he go
I think-
forward with this year and
I
Anna
think-
would rather walk this stuff with him, or?
I think we should walk it to have something in the file, but if he's really wants to get started weed whacking, I don't think we're gonna make a lot of changes, so we could start there and then walk it, or he could wait to walk it. It's not like there's a
Do you
ton of
wanna
reason
walk
why
it
we
with
can't
him?
schedule. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get.
And
you
Anna,
connected with him.
depending on the day, I'll be willing to walk anything with you too, especially Springdale.
Oh, great. Yeah, that'd be great.
Just keep me
Okay.
posted.
He's
Well-
nice, but you just have to Oh.
Don't scare him away.
Approach
Well,
him.
it sounds like he's a farmer. I get it.
He's a farmer, so you just,
Right.
he's an Iowa farmer.
He is
Doesn't he-
super nice.
And
The
he
Yeah,
is,
he-
year I have to send
he's
him
super nice.
the year before his invoices, because he says it'll take me a really long time to find them in my emails. So every
And
year I
so he does-
send him the other ones and he sends
So
me.
he doesn't
back
need that,
prices.
he doesn't need that much information.
What? What?
You don't want to overload him with information.
No,
He
no,
probably
no, I
just wants
mean,
a path of, he
yeah.
just kind of wants to know the paths of what we need to be mowed.
yeah,
Well, and I think it's a good
Right.
time for us to figure out what it is he has been mowing, because we,
He's very,
not been-
he's very conscientious and
Yeah.
he
he
will
did,
do
he
the
does
right
give
thing.
detailed invoices too. It's
Yeah.
all that stuff I was reading you was off the invoices.
well, and the other thing is,
Right.
he also, he does the streetscapes as in addition, which is nice, because DPW doesn't. So I think we're in good stead there. So, and if you can just trade,
I will
contact
connect
info.
him
Mhm.
and Anna and they can set something up.
Great,
Great.
thanks. Janet, something else?
I just have one other question. So I'm going to be working on this RFP for the Springdale land management plan. And we do need to know what our budget availability is. So
So,
again,
see, I'm just curious, so what is the RFP meaning? I'm not sure if we've stated what it is that we want to do. You're looking for an RFP for somebody to come in to go over the management, to create a management plan for that?
that's right.
Is that?
In the same way we had Dedham and Valley Farm done by
Mhm.
Audubon. So it was a similar plan for Springdale. But I totaled the numbers here that the Honeywell Farm estimates total 8,000, and is that for the whole fiscal year? Or are there other expenses that we're aware of? I'm just trying to get a sense as to what the additional fund availability is.
That is for spring. And then if we had him mow the perimeter, which I don't know if he
That's
may
for
have
the
done that
fall.
in the past. I'm
That's
not
for the fall, right?
Yeah.
There is another
that's-
one in the fall.
We only do these once a year. The
I feel
mowing.
like he did some.
No, I
things
think,
in the
I thought we
fall.
did, well, I used to hay 46 in the spring after the first, wasn't there and we have a time frame between birding season in terms of nesting.
Birding season lasts until now.
Right, that's what I mean, yeah.
And so we always do it now through the fall.
So
And
is that,
then it's short in the spring because you just did it in the fall. It doesn't grow very
Mhm.
much between now and
mhm,
winter.
mhm. So is
Yeah,
that the
haying
case,
is-
Laurie? We've
I
only
know
been
that.
doing it once a
Oh,
year?
sorry.
We've only
Lori.
been doing this once a year.
Okay.
Well, last year, Jim had worked it out with David Dodsworth. He did the Springdale Field path. That was
Path, right.
2750.
But then there's also, I mean, not
So it was
to
27,
complicate,
excuse me, Sarah, it was 2750 for a path?
Oh, it says Springdale Field. Let me just look and see. It had
That's
to be
crazy.
something else too.
but there's also,
Yeah.
does-
Sorry, Sarah.
That's
no,
okay.
Go ahead.
okay, Pat Keen was mowing
I know, for,
Um,
yeah.
Springdale Field as well, and I think DLCT was paying him, so we need to figure out like who's mowing what, because there's a lot of double dipping going on,
Is Pat still
Springdale
around?
Field and Springdale Meadows are different.
Right,
and I understand that, but I think what John, well, I mean, maybe I was wrong, sorry.
well,
yeah,
it's Pat,
Pat
my
Keen is-
question, I used to have Pat do my backfield, but is he still around?
Yes, he's still
Wow.
alive, he's doing very well, he's had some health issues, but anyway,
Is he mowing?
not anymore,
Oh,
No.
okay, that's what, yeah, so.
What his son is, right?
barely, but yes,
Oh,
yes.
Barely.
Okay.
So again, I apologize. I keep getting 46 Springdale confused with what I call Springdale Field, which is the DLC.
Right.
Okay,
That's why I
So
was trying to get it called Spring Meadows, but everybody keeps calling it Springdale Meadows.
It can't be changed.
right. So it's just
Cannot be changed.
okay. That's where my confusion in my brain is. I apologize.
Janet, you're looking at, so we have an $8,000, we're spending between $8,000 and $10,000 a year for field maintenance. And we have a $30,000 maintenance budget, which then also goes into, you know, the land management, trails work and things of that sort. And then we have a $5,000 a year management fund that we can utilize for hiring Audubon or somebody like that to review and give us the management plans. Does that help clarify some of what you're looking for money?
Yeah, I think, and for
Or
next,
actually, maybe, I'm sorry, maybe 25 and 5. Lori, is that what it is? Yeah.
and I think the distinction between those two was never clear. So maybe as we go into our operating budget cycle, we can, those really two should be combined because they're interrelated. But the question was like, how much is available for a land management plan? That's something I need to know as I approach possible contractors.
Well, I would think start at 5 and see what you can get.
Never,
Because
oh, no,
what's that?
5 is going to be much too small.
yeah.
Well, we did 2 for 5 the last time we did it. So part of this is also with, you know,
We went with 5 in the land management plan because you all were thinking you would do 1 a year. So you
Right.
figured 5 in that. The accountant has told me they're kind of interchangeable.
which
But
is
if
the way
you're gonna-
we have used them. We, you know,
Well,
since we haven't done
in-
those plans, we've spent the money on management.
It's
things.
also
And
that, you know, you do have for Springdale Meadows, you
Mhm.
do have a very recent delineation from GLM for when we bought the property. So you're
Mhm.
actually starting out with an awful
Hmm.
lot more information. Plus, you know, we also had Paul do a big report on it as well. So
Wow.
you're starting out
Okay.
with an awful lot of information that Audubon even had to create when they
Mhm.
did the
Mhm.
plan for Valley Farm. So I
Okay.
think
Well,
5,000 actually isn't crazy for
No.
that property because it's such a recent acquisition that we actually have an awful lot of information. We don't have species information, but we have the vernal pool certification information, and we have both Paul and GLM's. We have GLM's delineation and we have Paul's report.
so I think, so there's several things I see that have not happened, actually, frankly. We got those land management reports. We haven't done much with them. So I think the first thing to do would be for land management, Anna, to review those management plans and see what's practical and what, you know, what if we incorporated any of those plans into the parcels that we have.
Yep.
And then I think we want to get an idea of what it is where our intentions are, you know, for 46 Springdale. You know, as part of it was to maintain it as open space, to mow it outside of the nesting season, to allow access by the hunt club, to create a peripheral path. And then what other things can you do with 23 acres, you know, a relatively limited space? So I would think that 5,000 would certainly cover that. And I would be really wondering why it would be any more. Janet, did you have something in mind in terms of what level of depth in terms of managing that property? You know, what the range would be for what management actually would incur, you know, would be?
So I think that would be part of sort of the exercise with the commission as to what the existing conditions are. And then what perhaps other opportunities are, both to protect the ecological value, but also maybe increase the trail system or, you know, or vernal pool protection. I'm not sure how close the mowing is to the vernal pool, so that's something we'd want to look at. So,
It's not that close.
No,
Okay.
and I think 46 was specifically, when it went to town meeting, it was specifically for the aesthetics of maintaining that open space. And so, and I think as we've slowly, I think we've been doing a better job lately of enhancing the recreational capabilities of our properties, and I think that would be an important function of 46 Springdale. Not that we're having baseball games there, but just to, even if it's a matter of those benches, chairs, whatnot. Those are parts of the discussion there. So I'm not sure, maybe I don't know what I don't know. And that's why we'd be looking at having somebody come in, but I think reviewing what we had, from Audubon for the other ones will give us a baseline of potentiality there, so.
the other thing, Mass Audubon is going through a reorganization with their land management. And it sounds like, I'm waiting to hear back for sure, that their ecological extension services are no longer doing these plans for external. So we may have to go through another consultant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Oh, there's, so, we voted on Honeywell.
No,
Correct? No, we didn't finish that? Okay.
No.
So let's go ahead and do that and then incorporate what we discussed, which is to, Anna will communicate with them, and we'll get an update of what we've actually been doing and what whether we need to expand anything or not. So let's run that motion again to accept the proposals.
Yes, move to accept the proposals for land maintenance.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Bye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay. Let's see. Then,
and sorry, John, just to be sure. Anna, you had said you think it's okay if he starts the weed whacking he wanted to do, but schedule something for you and Sarah and whoever to go walk the properties with him.
Yeah, I'm less concerned about changing what he's done as much as figuring out what has been going on, and then, if we can come up with ideas to improve, do that then.
Okay,
Mhm. Good, thank you. Then a land donation discussion.
sorry, that's me too. So I had a call from a man who lives at 10 Indian Ridge Road in Natick. His name is Alex Song. And his lot, a back portion of it is in Dover.
Mhm.
It's 0.0631 acres. And he wants to
0.06.
donate the Dover portion
Mm-hmm.
to Dover. He did say there's a stream on the property. I wasn't quite sure how to tackle this. I was gonna see if land management wanted to look into.
Did you pull it up on Mass Mapper by any chance to see
I
where it
did.
was?
I
And
did.
so 0.06 is kind of tiny.
Yeah.
And did he give a reason as to why?
He wants to
didn't
stop
say
paying
why.
taxes to Dover.
I would think it was a tax bill.
I can't imagine that
Exactly.
the taxes are much. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it could be 500, yeah, because, and maybe he just wants to, keep his whole life ensconced in Natick.
I don't know, but I just wanted some input from you all
And
on
we-
how you
we-
wanted to
does
move
that-
forward.
Back up to the solar field project.
No, this is, this abuts the Charles River. It's going down towards the Charles River.
Indian Ridge does?
Indian Ridge, yes, that's
This
right.
part of it, though, doesn't seem to be right
Really?
near the river.
Might be up near Glen Street.
I think so.
It looks like it just sort of abuts a property on Yorkshire, as best I can tell.
10 Indian Ridge Road.
Yeah, it looks like their neighbor is 17 Yorkshire Road, and just like a little tiny triangular thing in
He did
between
say
the two
there's a
properties.
stream though.
Yeah.
Well,
looks
it's
like they're
probably one of
probably-
those
Yeah.
drainage ditches.
Right, exactly.
Maybe.
Oh, I see it.
To accept something like that, a land
Yeah.
gift. Probably,
There's a whole thing you have to go through to accept it, but you probably want to run it by town council to see if that can even be done. I don't know. but
Yeah, it doesn't go, it doesn't
Happy to
join
do
up
that.
with anything. It doesn't go
It doesn't
anywhere.
connect with anything. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm happy to ask. This is not hard to send some emails and ask if we want, but
Well, I
town-
can-
you mean ask
Yeah.
town council or,
yeah.
yeah, and if you want to.
I mean, I would think he should just go to the person that 17 Yorkshire and sell it to him
Or give it.
or give it to them.
Mhm.
17 Yorkshire is
yeah.
Sean Burrell. I mean, why do we want another little?
No,
I don't
We
know. It's a
don't.
tiny little strip.
No, I frankly, I don't think we're interested, period. I don't see it. There's nothing that can be done with it. He can't do anything with it. Sean can't do anything with it. We can't do anything with it.
Well,
so
Sean
this-
can just make his lot a little bit nicer. There is a little, no, that's a topo. It's all just wetlands back there, I think.
Yeah, I don't think anybody goes there. They have anything, actually, it looks like there's more of it, there's a little bit more of an inside stream channel that might be incorporated there between 8 and 10 there. But for us, I don't see anything for us, in there. It's,
Not
we
worth
have
the hassle.
other things, that we need to pay attention to. and-
Even
and-
I don't think it's worth it.
Right. Well, that's because.
Okay, well, is that,
because
do you want me
you're
to tell him
giving
that
it-
or,
Yeah.
just that
Yeah, that we don't have,
they don't have a use for it at this time?
yeah, because
or-
we don't have anything that it would be,
We
Uh,
need
that it would
something
join up with.
contiguous to something
Right,
else.
right.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not contiguous to any of our other
No,
properties.
no,
Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you.
I will
Uh,
get back to him.
Okay, did folks have a chance to take a look at Janet's, invoice for July? It was.
Days
I
ago.
believe so.
Yeah, it basically, so it was, it's, it's all accounted for. We had a little dip and then, this takes us up over 10,000, but it's, a lot of, projects that were on the pending, column have now moved into the active column. So, clearly I can see from her emails alone, since I got copied on them all, that, her workload jumped up again. So, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know if anyone has any questions about it. And Janet, you'd mentioned that you're writing up the stormwater management not proposals, plans for, or not, rules and regs. So I'm not exactly sure what it is that you're working with the highway department on for stormwater management.
so I was part of the work group with Kevin McCabe and town council and Val Lynn to work on the stormwater bylaw, and that was passed at town meeting. Now we have to draft the regs. That's the next step, and so I am involved in that process as well.
And is that, do you bill for that, or is that a pro bono, or I'm not, I couldn't,
I was requested from a technical point of view to be part of that team.
right. So in July, was there a breakout invoice for that in July?
No, that comes under non-applicant expenses.
Oh, it is, okay, so which that has stayed relatively constant, for over the, number of months. So that's incorporated in that top end there, the $3,000+ worth of things. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know if that one itself got pulled out or not. Does anyone have any questions on that? On the invoice? Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept and pay that invoice.
Removed.
Second,
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Sarah,
aye.
Anna? And I'm an aye. Okay.
Janet, thank you so much for everything that you do for us.
My pleasure.
Let's see, okay, then, agents report, updates.
Okay, the first is, John, myself, Sarah, and Amy attended a site meeting in late July with DPW and a concerned abutter to look at the Claybrook Road Bank Stabilization Project. And a number of questions and concerns came up. John asked the DPW, their engineers, and their wetland scientists to look at a number of issues, including the plant material, the density, and the structural components of the steel piling wall, which has been reinforced with a really ugly extra guardrail that had not been proposed, and you wouldn't notice it unless you were on the river or bending over the guardrail to see it. So we are waiting for that feedback from DPW.
And while we were there, we saw we saw a deer swimming in the river. And we had been talking about having a ramp for animals to come up, and we thought that the deer was had come across from lot 3 and it jumped into the river and was going to the marsh area in the middle of the river. Then we realized that it had come from the marsh area and couldn't climb up because the wall was there now. And so one of the things we had talked about was having a ramp of some form, which we all happened to be standing
So
by.
I must have just left because I missed that whole thing.
Oh yeah. So it was kind of
Wow. So Fiona was right that the animals could not get up over.
yeah, although it's unlikely that in that location that animals were able to get up anyway, but this clearly didn't. But it gives us maybe a little bit of ammunition. There are ramps that are made out of riprap right at the moment, which a deer most likely wouldn't go up.
Right.
The question is whether or not, there's an awful lot of river there. There's an awful lot of marsh. There are many areas where a deer can get up and out of, and you're balancing the area of artificial stability there, for 400 lineal feet versus the miles and miles of other areas that they can come out of the river at. So, but it was an interesting thing to see play out right after we've been discussing it, so we'll see.
And
Something.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Why would you ever want to help any deer?
Very good point.
We're
I
trying
know,
to
but-
kill them.
I know, but the whole point, it was interesting, Tim, was that Fiona, who didn't state either her pros or cons, had said she had been living in this house for 30 years, and every year, every spring, the snapping turtles would come up from the riverbank, cross the road and lay their eggs and then go back. And she said that was the first time that she hasn't seen any snapping turtles. And so we all kind of looked at her like, well, that's kind of a good thing. But I think from her point of view, it was just things are changing.
No, I understand.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I know, but it was, we all kind of looked at her like, why would you want snapping turtle babies in your, front
Well,
lawn?
I could see the point. It was interesting. Bobby Tosi from the highway department said he drives Claybrook, multiple times a day and has never seen a turtle on the road. But at the same time, you get used to that and you feel like you're in touch with nature. Just don't let nature touch you. But there are plenty of other places where the snapping turtles could get out. But this was an area that literally washed away. So, there were things that had to be done. But we were asking them, the vegetation, especially given all the rain we've had this year, the vegetation was very sparse. And it was if you really took a look at it and compared it to some of the residences that have had to do restoration plantings we've had a very successful year for that once we got them started. They only had a few particular species that took off, and the other ones either died off or they didn't get very large plants in the first place. So that they're going to respond to that, because right at the moment they probably have a less than a 50% success rate, and we pointed
Right.
that out. We're concerned about it. So it was a good meeting, and it was also one that was good for the neighbor to let her know that we're listening and that we wanted to pay attention and review things from a conservation point of view. And then this structure that is pilings driven in at an angle to hold the metal wrap wall, design wise, has an open channel on the top that holds water. And so a neighbor came jogging by saying, "Oh, are you looking at the mosquito breeder?" And so it is, we asked about that because it is a head scratcher. If that's what it's designed for, why not have your channel go down this way as opposed to up this way? Well, we may get answers. So go ahead, Janet. Other things?
Next up is Red Robin. It's been at least 3 months that I've been asking Paul McGovern to submit an update. We have not been getting monthly progress reports, and they're due to come in for at least a partial COC on the stormwater and have not heard anything. And so I'd recommend that a letter come out from the office asking Paul to attend our next meeting to provide an update, because they are starting to rent those units.
So do they have, do you know for a fact if do they have occupancy permits and are people moving in?
They have a temporary occupancy permit from Walter. Walter's aware of our concerns, but he said they have a limited temporary occupancy. Even the fire department hasn't signed off on things, so.
And do you know why he granted the temporary?
I do not.
Okay.
I think the plan was originally to rent the units, but not have anyone occupy them until everything had been certified completed, but that's not, I guess, how it's happening.
No, that's, well, that's not how the market works either. Once you rent it, it's people need to move out of wherever they are. It probably bears discussion with Walter to see why, what's the temporary aspect on his part. And I don't know if it's, that's related to Mike Angieri or where things stand there. So normally OPs are granted because they're done. It could be that only a portion of the building is done too. They may still be working on it. That would be helpful.
Paul, we really need Paul to come in and give us an update on the project and at least get Tetra Tech out there, Sean Reardon, to review.
Was that resolved, Lori, relative to there was a Tetra Tech final bill that Paul was hesitant about paying? Has that been resolved?
So he was hesitant a year ago, the first time I asked him about it, but I brought it up again. And he came right in and gave me what was needed. But if Tetra Tech's going to go back out there, I think we need an estimate from them because there's no more money now. So
well, so we need to find out what would be the scope of work for Tetra Tech at that point? Is it
review of at least a partial certificate of compliance in the buffer zone, with a particular review of the stormwater management system. But I think the first step is to get Paul. We sent him a formal letter requesting that he attend our next meeting to provide an update, and then we go from there.
Is that enough time? Our next meeting is 2 weeks away, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And Lori, when was the last time you spoke to Paul?
when he brought me in the check to pay for that invoice, maybe a week or two ago.
Okay, so can you,
He did say he was gonna be submitting his certificate of compliance but he just said, you know.
so can you give him a call, see if you can catch him and just to let him know, and then send a letter out saying that we would like an update at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the next is 31 Springdale Ave, another situation that has been continually delayed for no apparent reason. Again, there are two components here. We have an outstanding RDA. We did get a revised site plan, and I have to reach back out to Will Mitchell, but I think the plan would be that would be on our next agenda. But then there's the enforcement order that required development of a restoration plan. That is 3 months overdue. And again, for no good reason. The Goddard consultant said he knows he needs to get us something, but this has just been dragging on. And the situation isn't getting any better. So I guess if Will comes in for the RDA for our next meeting,
Mhm.
next RDA, we can ask him about the restoration plan, but this just seems to be a reoccurring problem with a number of consultants. We just, months go by and they keep saying, oh, it's coming, and then nothing happens. So
Why do we, so do we know, would this RDA be on our next agenda? Do you know?
yes, we
Okay.
received the
Okay.
Yeah.
So, let's see, how do we get it? How do we convey to him that, well, I suppose we can convey it at that meeting, that if, lay out, the potential for fines, and that may get, get Goddard to, move faster. We don't really know how much of it is Goddard and how much of it is communications between the two parties. Does that seem, because part of what we're dealing with in the enforcement order is, he basically put a culvert in lieu of an open ditch, a stream there, which is, I don't know if the net effect is how serious it is, but it's not being addressed because we don't know, because we don't have a restoration order. If somebody could bring up a solid reason as to why that is better versus just having a 4-foot bridge over that stream and not creating a bunch of extra lawn, we don't have any answers there. So I think it's time to make it a little clearer to him that we're serious here.
I don't have a ton of patience for this one, just because it was so far out there. So I think we should send the letter, but I don't think we should wait on the next letter.
Well, I think if we actually are going to have him in front of us for restoration, push him a little harder. I think we give him a little benefit. We've given him a little benefit of the doubt due to his age, but I think at this point he's also not a dumb guy. I think
He's a developer. He knows what he's doing.
no, Mitchell. No, he's a homeowner who got in, owned an ancient house that he's not developing other properties.
No, his father, isn't that Will Mitchell?
Will Mitchell's father is a cardiologist with several patents, and he runs a.
Oh, I thought it was his father that was across the street, Mitchell, the builder.
No, the one across the street is the cardiologist. It's not
Oh,
the
I thought
Mitchell Science. No,
I thought he was Mitchell Construction.
No, he does a bunch of things relative to blood filtering machines, and
The Healers said that they had sold, sorry,
Powers.
the Powers said they'd sold to a developer, so that's why I thought it was.
No, his dad.
Never mind.
Yep, never mind. So the
He certainly looks like a builder, given the number of trucks that he's.
Oh, Will does. No, he does his own work, which is part of the reason it's taken so long. For
no,
things.
but I mean, whatever. Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
So no, if it was a developer, that house would be done by now. So the no, but I think the thing there is that he needs a little bit more pressure to make it clear, and so that we can get things rolling here. So I think I don't have a problem with, since he's going to be in front of us at the next meeting with this, then at that meeting we can also bring up these questions and let him know that if we don't like the answers, we send the letter out after that meeting, and informing him and let him know at the meeting that there's the potential for fines. because it really has been probably the longest that we've had that I can recall in the last year or two of somebody turning around and getting a restoration plan in front of us. So, and maybe he hires a different, a different firm. So, okay, carry on.
So the next update is on 29 Saddle Ridge, another enforcement situation that has missed their deadline substantially. Again, I've been chasing, this is another situation I've had to chase them down because there's just no response. A little frustrating, but they indicated Goddard, this is another Goddard situation, that they will get us something for the next meeting, and they know it's at least a week in advance because Paul will be reviewing this. As you'll recall, the commission supported Paul's finding that this was isolated land subject to flooding. I got some copies of emails that I don't think Goddard intended to keep, but they're going to be it appears they're going to be challenging that finding. So anyways, that will be
So my question is, we have Paul on our side, making that very clear. I've been out there. I documented it with photos. It's pretty much beyond a doubt that it is ILSF. If we just go ahead once we finally hear from them and we just say no, here's the ruling. It's not a DEP appeal. It's a Superior Court appeal, I imagine, for us, and that's what they'll have to do. And then we just stop. However, if we go ahead and we do that, we still need to enforce. And it seems, I'm just sort of thinking aloud here, we want them just to put things back to status quo ante. We want, there was grass down there. We want them to clean things up, take logs out, put a lawn in there, put in probably some restoration mix, and be done with it. And the pushback we're getting is they want to remove it entirely because they say it doesn't qualify. Is that the gist of what do you feel the same way, Janet, that's what the issues are?
It hasn't been clear to me what the homeowner actually does want down there. He wants to make it safe so his children, aren't, so it's safe, but a fence would do the same thing. So
yeah,
he's spending a lot on consultants, where I think we could come up with a very reasonable resolution here that he could be with, and the commission would feel, that we're protecting the resource. But
so one of the things it would seem, because what we're dealing with is we still have a muddy mess there that is not conducive to what we're supposed to be protecting. One of the things would be that they need to stabilize everything, and then they can make their case. They can come back to us, but until they stabilize it, they're in violation. Is that an appropriate way of looking at it?
I think so. No, I haven't been there in a while. It's possible that you've got some vegetation coming in because they're not supposed to do any additional work, and this happened over a year ago. So
it's pretty much top of bank stuff where, so it's relatively stable, but there is a section where between that and the house where they have a bunch of logs still piled there, and it's very muddy, and there are tire tracks that fill up with rain, water and things of that sort. So it's not, it's not what we would prefer. And so it's just something to give some thought to. I think the Goddard response was their Zoe, their lead on that, just had a baby, so she's now out on maternity leave. But let's see where. So do we have any time scheduled? They're supposed to be submitting something within the next week or so. Janet, is that your understanding?
Mark Arnold's taking over, and he said that he would respond with material at least by next week.
Okay.
They would be prepared for the next meeting.
Okay, then let's see what they do there. But I think we're all getting a little tired of it. Okay, other updates?
The other question was I don't know if Lori's had a chance to reach out to the town IT consultant, but we are almost a year behind on our meeting minutes.
Mhm.
That is an open meeting violation. And, I'll say it's been hard to track some of our work on some of, especially the enforcement actions, because we just don't have meeting minutes, not even in draft form. So I'm told, I'm not a technology expert, but that if you record your minutes, there are several programs out there that will transcribe and summarize your minutes.
Mhm.
Good degree of.
I know Lori looked into this with IT. Did you have any new
I
information?
talked
there?
to, yeah, I talked to the town about it. At your meeting on June 24th, you all made a motion to hire somebody to get caught up on the backlog of minutes. The person that they originally had in mind, because she was going to help Board of Selectmen also, she can't do it, so now they're advertising for it. The HR person, Robin, is actively looking for somebody who can just do minutes for
And
us, for Board of Selectmen. So I thought that's where we were, because you all made a motion. I didn't know we were still. I have talked to people about the IT, and I'm not getting I'm not getting the answer that yes, we could purchase that particular thing. And I tried a couple of things. I didn't try Janet's. There was a lot of pages in those instructions. But I tried doing it just through, well, Amy started recording one night, and that is definitely every that's how it writes it. So you could never use those for minutes. I guess you could,
Edit them or whatnot.
edit them, but that would take longer than just doing minutes
you-
with
you-
notes the way I used to.
We also don't want verbatim minutes.
Well,
You-
that's
Well, I
also
didn't
why,
think we did, but it sounds like maybe some people might want that. I don't know.
No,
Janet, that's
Janet
what you're
mentioned,
thinking?
Janet specifically mentioned something that summarizes.
no,
so-
ChatGPT or any of the AI programs.
Yes.
So
So
basically.
I
if you
haven't
got 'em-
looked into
At
those.
least
I
that's what
don't know much
Google
about
says
them.
on the Olympics,
Right. So,
right,
yeah.
Anna?
So the thing there is, it seems that we have the files. This technology is out there, and we don't know how to interface the two. And the question is, and the town doesn't appear to be that helpful on that. The question is do we want to put X number of dollars aside in order to get a consultant who can supposedly make all this happen easily? I thought you might have an answer to that, Janet. So what's your response to that?
So I haven't had a lot of exposure, but we are paying a lot of money to an IT consultant, a lot of money to help the town with its IT needs, because the town has not been able to hire a full-time employee. So I cannot believe that this well-paid consultant can't do something really simple, like help us with this issue.
I actually have, let me just, because having coming out, been involved in that world at one point, I believe it 100%. This guy might be able to work wonders within the network and get things dealing with the website and still be completely clueless. You're working with somebody with one of your other things that you do that seems to know how to do that. Is that correct?
Yes, so I'm on a board of directors of a nonprofit, and this is what we do, and they turn out really nice, fairly short summaries.
And
So,
do they have an IT person who does that, or who does it?
oh, it's all volunteer.
So
Okay.
who is somebody doing, so
Can
somebody's
we
doing
hire a
the-
volunteer to show us how to do it?
I
we
got Lori in touch with the board secretary who could walk through how we do it. It probably would take.
I want to have somebody come in and do a not quite turnkey, but at least install the lock, to show us how it's done, and then we can try it, and we'll pay them for their time, even though they're volunteer on your end, or they do however it's handled on their end. I'm just we're we're going around in circles on this, and yet there you have an example of where it gets done pretty effortlessly. I just want to figure out how we can communicate with them to get, see if we can get this to work. And then we can rent that out on a monthly basis to the town and not have to worry about our budget ever again.
Mm-mm.
Well, the other thing that's driving me crazy, and I don't want to speak for Tim, but so Tim and I were assigned to be part of the Harper's employee like timesheet thing for Lori. I've never been able to sign in.
I've never gotten the sign-in stuff.
Yeah,
Me either,
no,
and
so-
I keep going back to Mark, who was a
So my
part of
feeling is
Rex.
we have
So-
we have an undependable IT department or we cannot use the town's IT at this point. So I think this is something though where we have it's public information that we should be able to take care of. Janet, can you well, Lori, before I have Janet get you in touch with somebody, you were going to say something?
Well, if this process is free, then I'm sure the town won't mind if I look into it. But if it's anything that they have to pay for, I've been told they're not gonna pay for software for this.
No, so what I hear from Janet is nobody's paying for software. Is that
Okay.
correct?
Well, there's a very long, it's long, and I haven't had a chance to go through it. There's instructions that Janet sent before you all made this motion to hire somebody.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it. It's
Okay.
so very long,
Janet, do
and
you
it
know?
doesn't look easy. I'm sorry. It's just.
Janet, do you know? Does somebody? Is there a cost associated with your nonprofit for this service?
I don't believe so. It's a chat GPT function.
Yeah.
And as long as you record it in Zoom or some
Mhm.
other form, then it can be changed. Or
Okay.
transcribed. So
I think one of the questions was whether the Zoom license that we get as a town is different than the Zoom license that your nonprofit has relative to interfacing with things. I don't know. I think that was one of the things that came up. And it doesn't sound like our IT has been any helpful. Lloyd, can you forward me that as well? The info, or Janet, can you forward me that info?
I had already, I will try to send it out again.
Okay.
I do think for the record, we should at least send a short memo to Mike Blanchard asking.
Well, let's first, I'd like to read this memo a little bit more in depth. I think the memo that we sent to Mike is, given the fact that we can't, that HR hasn't found anybody and IT has not been helpful, that that they have not come up with a solution to us being in violation of the open meeting law. I think it's a matter of pushing a little harder there and saying that we, but I'd like to find out if there is a cost to this interface, because I'm assuming if you're using it or not at a nonprofit, it doesn't sound like there's been a cost. Go ahead, Tim.
Linda had a meeting recently, and somebody took the transcript and ran it through something. I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And it came out, she said it was unbelievable what they came out with. It would need a little bit of work, but not much.
And they pulled that off Zoom, and they pulled it off of Zoom.
I think it was from Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you can
actually, it might have been through Google
Teams or
Google Meet.
Zoom has a thing in the apps area that's called Meeting Summarize AI, Summarize Meeting and Filter.
I
And I
think
went
you'd
to
have
add
to
it.
pay for it.
What?
Do you have to pay for it?
I don't think so.
You think it's free?
Well, the
Yeah,
transcription
it's
certainly is
just
free.
it right now it's saying that it's now I'm getting meeting recaps, transcripts, and report. Right.
Because I had tried, Tim sent me some easy instructions and I tried to do that, but I didn't have that option. It was like under advanced settings that I needed permissions for or something.
Well, if you could find
Even
out,
if the
Tim.
town paid for the next bump up for Zoom, I think that would be, makes
Well,
more.
I think part of, we're gonna run into, I'd like to see if we can find, we keep hearing how people are doing this. I'd like to find how they do it. And then make a decision there. The
Right.
town, we can then also turn to the town and say, okay, if it costs the town an extra, and the thing is, it could be $1,000 or it could be $50,000. At 50, they don't want to do
Or
it.
it could be $200
Right, that's more.
$200
per
yeah.
license.
Yeah. And and times 7 departments or something like that. So it's $1,400 and they're, that should be, but I think we need to
Not even
present
2 days of hiring somebody to do it.
Well, that's, yeah. And it's that's the frustration here, so, but I think if you can ask Linda what, a little bit more what the.
Yeah, it
typical
was not Zoom, it was Google Meet
Google Meet, okay.
meetings.
But
whatever.
there's still the API or whatever, however it moves that, or maybe even with the transcript, Amy, that we get, there may be a way to put that through ChatGPT and it will take out all the ums.
Yeah, I think that's what Janet's instruction set has a way to, anyway.
Okay, well, why don't we, so Jen, if you send that to me, please, I'd appreciate it. And send a copy to Anna while you're at it. No, but the, and let's see what we can do here. And then, and if we get a human, that's great too. And maybe we can augment the human with this when we figure it out. But it is frustrating, but I think it's, we do need to pay a little bit more, give a little bit more mind share so that we can see if it's something that we can figure out.
Retrofit is there on Thursdays, so I can ask him tomorrow again, but I had Chris Costello look into it for me, and I think Mona talked to Mike Blanchard about it, and I'll see if they can help me at all, but
the information that Janet sent you, have you had a chance to send that either to Retrofit or to Chris Costello?
No, I haven't sent that on to anybody. I haven't even read it myself yet. It was really long instructions and it looked way over my head, honestly, but I'll take a look at it.
But it may be, and does Chris actually, he has I'm not sure, I knew as an assistant manager, but was he from
He's
IT
the assistant
originally?
town manager and he sort of, I don't know, oversees a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of that stuff. Not so much IT, but some of that kind of thing, like.
So, I mean, at the very least, seems like either sending that to him and or Retrofit. You might need permission to send it to Retrofit. I don't know, but so, we need to get that, we need to broadcast it out a little bit more to see if they can come up with something that does that.
If there's someone that can help with it, yeah.
Yeah.
So they had somebody new in from Retrofit last Thursday and he was really new. I think he was new to the company. He couldn't even help me with the large scale plotter in the copy room, like.
No, that's the uselessness of having an outside agency as opposed to an actual.
But
IT.
most of the time they've been pretty good. They have been responsive at least anyway,
Yeah. Well, let's disseminate this to them and say we need this functionality as soon as possible. And then we'll still work on it on our own and see if there's
I'll see if I can get any help. See what I can.
Okay.
One idea, Retrofit, if anyone's going to be able to, maybe they can bulk download the Zoom transcripts. That might save us a bunch of time of going in and clicking every single time.
Yeah.
Bulk download?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah,
They
you
are
got
all
the Zoom
recorded. Yeah.
Right, but somewhere in there they may already have automatically transcribed things.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I don't know. They may have a file there. I don't know.
Oh, you mean Retrofit may have done
No, I think no. Zoom may already have they may do that as a matter of course, and then you just so I really don't know.
I see Anna double clicking and going through different
Yeah.
screens. So her brain's going, she's
We'll see.
gonna have to figure this whole thing out.
Well, why don't we, we're not, what we know is we're not gonna figure it out tonight. So, but let's, with renewed vigor, let's see if we can, try to move forward and get
Anna
something
might
done
figure
here.
it out tonight. I can see her brain going.
So, okay, then, next is, 12 and 14 Miller Hill.
Right, so we were expecting really weekly updates. They are starting to do some work out there. They're doing some staging work. And I know Paul went out. We were expecting a fairly detailed report. Again, that's the lead on that is Goddard. We have not gotten that. So I guess we'll wait to see what happens, but as things move forward, but that's going to really require fairly intense monitoring and reporting. And hopefully there are enough eyes on this that that will happen.
Wasn't Paul, was he off on vacation for a period here as well, or? I think he was.
Yeah, he was, but he did meet on site. He did meet on site, and they went over a number of things. That was about over a week ago. We were expecting.
Okay.
We haven't gotten that yet.
Okay.
So September 28th is National Public Lands Day, and some towns I know hold some kind of an event, or I could just write a newsletter article. I didn't know if anyone had any suggestions. I know there's a Saturday stroll in September. Is that right, Amy?
Yeah, on the third Saturday this time.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
And where's that gonna be?
Pegan Hill.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying Janet does?
Maybe we could just help you publicize that as, in recognition of National Public Lands Day, encourage people to get out. I don't know.
And there's
Yeah, I
also
mean,
Dover Days too.
We're gonna be you wanna do a like a flyer or something that I can put up at Dover Days, we can do that.
And Dover Days is when?
The 14th.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Of there must be something, a single page blurb that National Public Lands Day already has.
Cause
Yeah.
I have lots of lucite frames for 8.5 by 11. So if you want to just, I don't really know what they want us to publicize, but.
I think it's just encouraging people to appreciate open space.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
okay,
And-
all right, we'll work on that, Amy, and I'll send you.
Yeah, whatever you want to publicize on Dover Days, we will, 8.5 by 11s with the QR code, if there's something
Mhm.
that related, or, trying to get away from handing out paper because people don't really like it, but
Yeah.
but sometimes, like a quarter sheet is fine. And then you get 4 things out of every a half
Can you-
or a,
Can you generate a
have
QR
to-
code within Microsoft Word, or
what?
can you generate a QR code within Word? Is there?
No, but there's QR code generators online that are free.
Mhm. Okay.
We do it all the time at the Hunt Club. Like we've got QR codes for everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If
Okay,
you don't want to put your logo in it, it's free. If you want to put your logo in it, it's more
No, I'm
expensive.
just thinking of a drag and drop or something, that just so that if you have something in between the loose site, you can create the QR code on.
Oh, I don't know whether it might be in Microsoft Word, and I just don't even bother to know
Right.
because I can do it
Mhm.
on the website.
And does that give you something that you can then just move over to a Word document?
Yeah, it gives you a JPEG.
Okay, yeah. Okay, Janet,
PNG, I don't remember.
biodiversity.
yes, so in the agenda, there's a link to the state's a survey regarding local biodiversity conservation goals. So all the Concons are asked to go to that, complete the survey. So again, that was in the agenda. If you have time to do that by the end of the month, that would be great. And then just 3 new projects that have come online. The DPW Willow Street Culvert is now underway. 45 Yorkshire, drainage improvements, pool and landscaping, and 9 Buttercup Lane septic system replacement. It's been nice. Our permitting workload, the number of applications has dropped, which has been good because we went through quite a flurry of new permits and they're all coming online now, and some of them quite large, including 143 Dedham. So hopefully our permit workload, won't increase, but we'll see.
Fingers
Well,
crossed.
I'm interested about I thought there were 3 lots, but I guess there's only 2 lots on Dedham Street. As you're coming from Needham. I
Oh,
don't know
right.
what that number is. It's like 195 Dedham Street, and then there's like 2.
Yeah,
So-
the Adams, was that
Is that,
Adams?
was that what it was, the Adams property?
Yeah, so there's,
There are 3. It's
so
4. actually.
199 doesn't appear to be for sale anymore. That was just, that's the backland plus a little sliver to get there.
They
And
cut the driveway in.
well, I mean, it's not a little sliver, it's a 2-acre lot out of the original house lot, and then it equals the back lot. 201 is still there, and that's,
Is that the big brick mansion?
no, 201 is the old farmhouse, the caretaker, the old farmhouse. It's
Okay.
the one that's closest to Strawberry Hill. And then 199 is the next one, and that's got the new driveway in, and that's a lot of backland, and that apparently sold and it was advertised as an equestrian estate. I have no idea, but they've got like 20 acres, so they could be, and they've got a few fields, so they could be doing some horsey things back there. I don't know. And then the mansion got 2 lots, but it's not clear whether they are selling them. They're currently listing them together, and that's listed with a different broker. And then Sherburne Development has 2 lots, which are 283 and 285 or something like that. I forget.
Oh, wow,
No, it'd be
okay.
No, it would be lower.
And
than that
those
much.
are the ones that you see that are cleared, that are closer to town,
Mhm.
To Dover or to Needham?
to Dover.
It's over.
The first 2 that you come to if you're going towards Needham
Okay,
are 2 or 3 acre lots that the front pieces have been cleared, and they're listed both as lots and
by
also
Sotheby's.
as built. And then I think Sotheby's has the main house, which has 2, the driveway's a loop driveway, so it has 2 entrances, so there's 2 Sotheby's signs there, but it's only one
house.
property.
Okay,
It actually has 2 residences because there's a caretaker's house there. And
Mhm.
then, but it's listed as 1, and that's 10 acres. And then there's 199, which is the new driveway, and that's not on the market. And 201, which you probably haven't even noticed because it hasn't changed at all. And that's also, I don't think, on the market.
so is it like 50 acres altogether? Or 40?
It was 40 acres altogether, and it got broken up into 5.
These parcels, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And then have we heard, and again, I'm sorry to keep your guys on time, but I'm just curious, the property that was next to our Concom property on Dedham Street seems to have, the sign, the sale sign seems to be taken down. So do we know if that property?
It's still listed on MLS.
Yeah.
So what
So
happened to the
they-
sign? The,
Probably fell down and
They
nobody.
fall down, yeah.
okay,
I don't
Laura,
know.
we emailed back and forth. I'd wanted, did you send me his contact number? I don't know if Lori's there. Anyway, I'm looking to get them to get in touch with me, to find out what it is they're trying to do there. And,
but
and
the one on Dedham Street or the one, I mean, the one next to our conservation?
yeah, Loblan's is,
Yeah, so
236.
that's Nate
Dedham.
Berkowitz and,
He's not the listing agent anymore.
oh, he's not, okay.
no, and I don't want to deal with the broker. I want to deal with it. What we got was an entreaty from the design firm that was supposedly working with them, and their website doesn't show them doing that type of restoration. And so I haven't, I'll reach out. I wanted them to reach out to me. And because if I reach out, I'm just gonna be told they're not available. So I'd rather have them
Right.
get my phone number. So I'll cover that with Lori and see what's going on there. Okay, is there anything else that anybody wants to bring up for this evening? Okey-doke. Then hearing no objection, and thank you very much, everybody. The meeting is adjourned. Okay.
Thank you.
Night.
Hey,
Good night,
okay.
everyone.
Bye.
Leave.